All right, all right. I welcome to another ZD TV, February 14th, 2025. I do always wonder if I perform the not the boomer pause, but what is it, the millennial pause? Is that what they call it? If anybody doesn't know what the millennial pause is, it's that moment that most people who remember when you push the record button, you kind of had to wait for the thing to work. And I am definitely older than a millennial, and I remember all that. So a lot of times I wait until the little screen says that I'm live. I always wonder if I'm actually live or not, or if I jumped the gun, or if I'm too late. And so I should go back and watch a stream just to see how it starts off, so that I know whether or not I'm doing the millennial pause. Because we can't have any of these millennial pauses, right? All right. So what are we up to on ZD TV today? On Ziti TV February 4th. Oh, happy Valentine's Day to anybody who appreciates Valentine's Day. Doesn't happen to be me, but if it's you, then happy Valentine's Day. Let's see, can I put a little emoji on the screen? Some sort of heart. Let's see if I can do some sort of heart real quick here. And that was too much effort. So no, can't put a heart on. Sorry. Heart. I said heart on. Today we're going to be looking at the ZD admin console, colloquially called the ZAC. You'll see it used, the term ZAC. You'll see the term used console. And we're going to be doing some cool cert-based authentication. And as usual, when I do anything related to the ZAC, I have a litany of bugs, and I use Ryan's name in vain and say, Ryan, you better come watch this ZD TV, and you better come and fix this. And so, maybe this time, instead of yelling at Ryan virtually, we can yell at Ryan directly. Hi, Ryan.
What's going on?
Isn't this exciting?
I'm happy to be here. Yeah, pretty cool.
I mean, the energy in the air is palpable. All right. So, Ryan, you are responsible for the UI in the ZAC. You've been doing all kinds of fun, cool things around there, one of which started like last year, where you moved the ZAC from being totally node-based to being a single page app. Is that true?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Yep. So now it's
and what
SPA.
I was just about to ask, and what technology do we use there? And you said Angular, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And so the ZAC is now a single page app. And what does that mean with respect to how it interacts with the console or with the controller? Sure. Like, is there any problems that presents, or was it just smooth sailing?
Yeah. So the the legacy ZAC, or the previous iteration of ZAC, had a proxy, and still does, depending on the instance that you run it with, but it was dependent on being hosted and communicating to the controller through a node server. With the SPA version of ZAC, which is we've kind of made it its own kind of serviceable library, Angular library. It talks directly to the ZD controller, depending on the deployment of it. So I think you've done some work with others to get that SPA hosted now, so it deployed and hosted on any particular server. In this case, the edge controller, and that allows the ZAC to speak directly to the edge controller without having to use that node proxy. So that's an advantage.
And it's able to do that because the ZAC is delivered at the same domain that the controller is on, correct?
Yep.
And port. The port is also important. Yeah, and so because the management API, which is so the controller has two real APIs, a third one if you count the OIDC stuff, but mostly two. You have the client API, the thing that our SDKs connect to, and then you have the management plane, the thing that ZAC connects to, right?
Yes.
And so because they're on the same host and the same port, then we don't have to worry about cross-origin resource sharing, core stuff, right?
Yep.
And
to the controller that you are deployed on. So
yeah. And so that makes things a little bit easier. You also, a while back, I don't know what version, but you improved the login page so that it no longer asks you what URL you wanted to log into, right? So like when you access the ZAC, it does a little probe here and there, right?
Yeah. Yep. So the default behavior was always, okay, the ZAC is loaded, and then there's some option to tell, okay, here's my ZAC, but what controller am I talking to? And the way to do that is you would just give it a URL, give the name for the controller for that controller URL, and then your username and password. Now, if the controller itself is hosting ZAC, then we don't need to ask it what the URL is. We know it's right there on the same host and port that we're using. So let's skip that step. We would assume you would want to manage the controller that ZAC is hosting. So let's just let you go right ahead and manage that, assuming you know your username and password.
Well, that would be important. And then also recently, like this week, I think maybe you've made another improvement to the non-SPA ZAC, the node-based ZAC. People would constantly show up in the forums asking, why can't I log in, particularly Docker-based installs. Why can't I log in from my ZAC? I've used localhost to access my ZAC. I type in the URL to the controller and I use localhost, and why can't I get there? And it's really easy to miss the fact that because it is a node-based proxying server, that you really need to add the host name of the controller. And when you're inside of the Ziti, the Docker world, that was like a Ziti Edge controller or something like that. So we've recently made an update, so now you can provide those URLs to the ZAC when the ZAC starts up. And you made a little discourse post about that, and we actually had somebody ask a question about it already, which was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. In addition to that, I think the other change you made is in the quick start, where the quick start is able to derive that location of the controller. So it can pre-populate that controller location for you in that parameter, that environment variable. So that we're using.
Well, that's more of the Docker Compose versions of the quick start.
Right.
So
Correct.
if you pull down either the simplified or the complex one, the one that has a bunch of different routers and stuff, I added that particular line so that when you bootstrap the Docker Compose environment, you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, and then you're going to make a doc change. I don't know if we ever got through that PR, but I know it's coming
I
up.
think it's out there, but not merged.
All right. So that's a little bit about the ZAC, if you don't know. And then I don't remember when, but our buddy Ken made a change to the ZAC a way back to allow you to use certificate-based authentication, right?
Yes.
And we're going to go through that today with ZAC. And so what I did is I set up 3 different ZACs on 3 different instances of Ziti, 3 different ZACs, all of which have 1 minute timeout. And so if I share this screen, and hopefully it's comically large enough and people can read it, you'll see the first one here is 3.9.1, 3.8.1. So I'm going to do 7, 8, and 9. So these tabs up here, if you're looking, follow my mouse, we got 3.7.1 up here, we got 3.8.1 here, and we got 3.9.1 here. And so I have a username and password. I can come in, I can type my password. If I can remember it, let's see, success. All right, cool. So I logged in. And now remind you, I got 1 minute in here. 1 minute is what I got. And so I'm going to go log in to these other ones. And I'm going to just type admin on both of these and then put in the password. Boop, 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 boop. Nice. Let's see. Oh, also, I had to use my hosts file for these so that I have these URLs. I didn't actually make a domain name. I just deployed it on a machine that's out there somewhere. And so that's what I've done here. And I don't know the password to this. This is going to stink. Let me type it real slow. Hey, all right. I got it. Okay, cool. I probably should save the password. Oh, actually, is that new? The other 2 didn't ask me. Did you change that at some point?
With some of the changes to the login, we made it standardized so that it could be recognized. The login form fields were, in some cases, not being recognized by the browser as username and password fields.
So there's a good chance that you fixed that somewhere along the way.
Yeah. So now they should be. And again, some browsers would do it, some weren't. Some were smarter, but we just added some of the conventions to those input fields that make them stand out to browsers.
Cool.
To let them ask you that question.
All right. So I'm going to go and make an identity. Oops, 3.71 redirect me to the login page. And now I got to log in again. Let's do admin. Boy, oh boy. I'm going to have to copy this password. Now I'm going to do it real quick. So what I want to do is I want to make myself a 3.71 admin. And then I want to make it an administrator. Where's the administrator flag in here? one time is admin right there. All right. And so now I can save this. And so what I want to do is for cert-based auth, since Ziti is basically going to get me, C:temp, Ziti TV. All right. So since Ziti is all about mutual TLS, when you enroll an identity, you are going to get a certificate and a key in your identity file. And so if I do I have Ziti in my path? I do. If I do a Ziti edge enroll 371 admin, I should get a 371.json. 371.json. And I did. All right. And so if you're really quick, you can probably steal all this stuff out and figure out where it is and log in real quick. But you will only have so long before I delete these instances. And so now another feature that Ziti has had for some time is the ops command to unwrap an identity file. And so what I could do is I can unwrap this file. And when I do that, I'll end up getting a JSON file, a cert file, a key file, and a CA file. And so this is the beginning of being able to log into the ZAC using a certificate and no password. And so what I need to do next is I need to create a PKCS12. A PKCS12 is a file that is basically a container for some number of keys and some number of certificates. In this case, it's going to be one of each. And so I need to make a PKCS12 for these things. Now, out there on the internet, you can go and search and find your favorite command to use. I'm going to use OpenSSL PKCS12. I'm going to export a PKCS12. It's going to be called, 371.p12. It's going to take a key in of my admin key. It's going to take a cert in of my cert, and I'm going to give it a name, 371 admin, and then pass out of pass : no password. Ken asks, crazy question that has no equivalence inside the PowerShell world. Wait a minute, what is your UMask or PowerShell equivalent? So the reason why Ken asks this particular question is because if I were to come to a bash window or Linux, and I go to any directory, makedir, ZD, and then CD to ZD, and then I will log into some environment, .cd AWS, and then log in to this environment, and then ZD Edge create identity Ken test -o Ken test.jwt, then ZD Edge enroll Ken test.jwt, and then here's why Ken's asking: ZD ops unwrap Ken test.json. When I do an ls, you'll see that all of these files, as Ken says, are not usable by users. Windows is special, Ken. So Windows doesn't care for your UMasks. Windows just lets you write those files. And so if you are on Bash, which means Mac or ZSH, Linux, anything that is going to enforce the UMask settings and cares about that, I should say, going to be probably just Linux and Mac, you're going to get a file that you can't actually use. So Ken's jumping the gun on me a little bit. You're going to have to schmod these files. Mm-hmm. Probably 700 is fine. You can do 777 if you're crazy, because then anybody can access your key. But 700 is fine, and you can test .star. And then when you do this, you don't have to do 700. You can do 600, 500, whatever makes you happy. Now these files will be readable by you so that you'll be able to put them into a PKCS12. Thanks for that, Ken. So now I'm going to rm Ken test star by Ken. All right.
So I was using the chmod command. I didn't use that one. I just used the R and RW
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can do that. So, yeah, it's a little fun little Linux POSIXism, I guess. It's probably POSIX. I don't know. Ken would know that one for sure.
Yeah.
When you chmod something, you can use shorthand. So 777 means give every privilege to the current user, give every privilege to the current group, give every privilege to others. So that's that would be similar to like read for group or something along those lines, right? So you can use different formats to chmod the file, however you want to chmod it. So if you want to do +X, you can do +X. You can do, what is it, users +X. You can do group +X. I don't know the exact command. I don't do it every day, but I just use 700 because that maps to binary. It's a bit mask. So 1 is read, 2 is write, 4 is execute. And so that's where you get your 7 from. Make sense?
Makes sense to me.
1777. See, Ken's coming through in a clutch here, letting everybody know 1777 is the most permissive. And then it also says he's already fixed the file mode bug. That's true, but I don't think it's released yet. And then Ken also says the key shouldn't be readable by all users when you unwrap. I think we covered all this. All right. Let's see. So continuing on back to my PowerShell, I'm going to make that PKCS12. And then once I have that PKCS12, since I'm in Windows, I'm going to open the folder, if I can open the folder. And then I'm going to double click on the certificate or the PKCS12. And my certificate wizard pops up asking me where you want to put this. Generally speaking, it's going to be in your current user because this is from me. Tell me what it wants to import. I'm sorry, this is too small. I can't really zoom in. It's asking me what file to import, and then what the password is. It doesn't have a password. And then automatically select the certificate store and finish. And then over here, it said the import was successful. All right. Now, big question of the day is, will Brave pick up the fact that this certificate exists? And generally speaking, it doesn't. So I'm going to quit Brave, which is my browser I generally use, my general browser of choice. I'm going to exit Brave and start back up again. If you don't get this next part, you definitely need to quit Brave and come back in. But now you'll see when I come to a particular URL, say 391.ZAC, this is the, I can't make this any bigger, so I'm sorry. But you'll see that it is asking me to select a certificate. This is the default mode that you see when you access a controller and you have any certificates in your personal keychain which are available to be used for authentication. And so you can see I've done this before. I have another one down here, and I have this one up here. This one I know was issued by 371.ZAC, and so I know I can pick this one. So when I click the OK button, I'm going to go back over here, click cancel, and click cancel on these other two because I'm not ready for them yet. You'll see login failed. My session has expired, and I should be able to click login. I don't think it'll work. Yeah. All right. So I logged in with username and password before, and I'm now deep into the ZAC. And because of that, I can't just click login. What I can do is go back to the ZAC regular login page, if I can. See, now here's one of those times where I'd say, hey, Ryan, what's going on? What's going on here? How do I get back to the ZAC, the login page? Just go to login.
Well, so if you look at there, it says return to login page on the this guy on the bottom
of
the login. Yeah.
Who knew? Didn't even know that was there. I would have expected to be able to just navigate back to the root and have it send me here, but what do I know? I'm not a UI guy. All right. So what's that?
I think that's a fair expectation.
Yeah. I think so too.
Make the argument for it.
Yeah. All right. So now when you're using certificate-based auth, you should be able to use no username and no password and just click the login button. And so let's see. Login failed. Unauthorized. Did something happen?
Yeah. Is your cert actually valid? Is the controller rejecting it? That could be.
Well, that's a great question. We can test that, and we can test that using the ZD CLI, because that is another thing that we can do. The ZD Edge login functionality, if you type help, oh my goodness. Let me try to make that smaller so it'll fit on the screen. Oh, well, I gotta make it real small. All right, so the ZD login will support an identity key insert, an identity file, and then username and password and token. Lots of different options on logging in. So we can check to see if it is correct or not. So we can do a ZD Edge login. Client cert is 371 admin cert, and then client key is 371 admin key. Where did it go? Right there. And then CA is 371 admin CA. And so this should let us log in using controller URL SG4. I didn't give it the right HTTPS. This is 371.ZAC. What did I call it? There it is. Let's just copy this. Come back here, paste. Do this. Unable to get to that. Certificate signed by unknown authority. Oh boy. That's probably based on my PKI chain here is not going to be too happy. Make sure the SPA sent the auth request. Yeah, I don't think that's the problem just yet. Let's see what the certificate details look like. Certificate name, it's ZAC. And that's that. That should work. That looks right. 391.ZAC, right? That's what I used. 391.ZAC. So this looks like it's actually not verifying the chain.
Yeah, it does not trust the default authority that signs the ZAC cert or the controller cert, right? That's what I would interpret it as.
It's what it seems like. It seems like I can't form a full chain, but that's the right CA file. So now we use OpenSSL. OpenSSL S client connect here, and then I never remember cert, I think, and key, I think, and this is the one I always gets me wrong, CA file. Okay, well, so we see verify code 19. That is no good. No good. How did that happen? Let's look at the JWT that it produced and see what it's advertising. Not the remove the JWT. Well, let's just look at the JSON. No, it's the right URL. Yeah, I know. I know it needs to present the intermediates. Maybe Unwrap doesn't have the intermediates. Oh, Ken says, for those who don't see the chat, yeah, Ken says, depending on your PK bootstrapping, the browser may need to present the client cert supporting intermediates. Almost certainly does. And so let's look at the certificate that came through. All right, so we're on to pay dirt here. Maybe the unwrap procedure has unwrapped the certificate, but it has not unwrapped the intermediate into it. And so now we open up the CA certificate. That'll have two. Well, should have two, but now it's got a bunch more than two. So now I got to go find the intermediate. Probably the easiest way to get the intermediate is to just come over to here and go to certificate details and find the intermediate and choose to export that out to the intermediate. And so now I should have an intermediate, and I can just export that directly on top of my actual cert using the double. Really? It's only read only. Oh, so that's fun. It's only read only. I wonder if I have a version that's fixed in. Maybe I've got a version that was fixed in, Ken. Shmod 700 star. Okay, so let's try that ZD login again. Where's that login? Still can't log in. Let's try the OpenSSL. This is going to be I have one that I know works, Ryan, so we can always go to that. What could this possibly be? Let's see. Was it missing in the Ziti identity config, or did the ops unwrap command discard the intermediate? Good question. Let's look at the 391. Nope. What is it called? Admin something. 371. Oh, that's the problem. I got the 391. Did I really? Why is this 391.ZAC? Oh, so that's the problem. It rearranged my tabs for me. I did not notice they were too close together. That's the problem.
So it's configured for the wrong host.
Well, it's just I pulled down the wrong intermediate because I didn't know any better. And so let's try this again. And let's get rid of, let's see, 371 cert. And yes, I want to reload it. Oh, look at that. That's ugly. But okay. Save that. Okay. Oh, Windows with its UTF-16. So that's why that looks all goofy. Let's look at the 371 cert. Let's copy that. I'm just going to do it in Windows land, copy it. And now let's try the Ziti Edge login. Still doesn't think is valid. Do the OpenSSL command. 371, 371, 371. Oh my goodness. 371.ZAC. 371. Verify return code of 0. Okay. So lessons learned. When you're going to do a demo and you make the names of the URLs too similar, it's real easy. It's real easy to mess that up as a human. Silly human. And I even typed 391 here because I just had copied it and pasted it. Jeez. What a waste of everybody's time. I'm so sorry.
I'm going to go dark real quick. I have to get the charger from my laptop.
Go get it. We can't have you leaving. You need to listen. You need to listen when I complain. All right. So now we can log in. That's good. Now we know we have got a fully formed and correct chain. Let's go ahead and make that PKCS12 again. 371, 371, 371. Everything looks good there. I'm going to go back. Windows is a little bit goofy. I have to use their certificate tool here to find the ZAC one. I want to delete it. And then I want to run this thing. Oh, you won't let me do it that way. Okay, fine. Double click it. Current user. Import it. No password automatically. Yes, finish. Okay, import was successful. I got to exit Brave now. All this just because of one little gotcha. So if you get that gotcha, hopefully it'll help you because that gotcha got me. Now when I open Brave back up, I'm going to verify that I'm going to the right URL. All right, so here we are. And then 371 signing intermediate, click OK. Now the magic, Ryan. Hey, just in time. Let's see if this works now. Log in. Hey, and we're logged in just like that. So easy. 20 minutes later. All right. I mean, it should be pretty easy if you don't make small mistakes that I made, but very easy to make those small mistakes. PKI is notoriously complicated. And so it's very easy to make subtle problems. And so you got to watch how I would debug it, and Ken helped along the way. All right. So that's the 3.71 of the ZAC. We have a certificate that we know works. I'm going to go do the same thing, but I'm going to use 3.81 and 3.9.1. And so let me make identities first. Oh my goodness. What is this? Okay, an identity, and this is new. 391 admin, and then we're going to make this an admin. Say yes. Save this JSON file. And this is admin and what is identities. go away, new 381 admin, and make this an identity, and make it mix an admin, and then get that. Okay. And so now we've made, and I'm going to rearrange these tabs because it should go 7, 8, and 9. Now we're going to go back to PowerShell, and we're going to ZD edge and roll 381 and 391. And we're just going to show the differences in the ZAC and what has changed since these times. Now we're going to do a ZD. Actually, let's do a clear. Do a ZD ops. Oh, and also I can make it bigger now. ZD ops unwrap 381 admin.json, and then do 391.json. And then if we do a listing, we can see all these intermediates. Now I'm going to just go and get the 381 intermediate because the unwrap command, I'm not surprised it doesn't do this, but it's not pulling out the intermediate. And so I'm going to export the intermediate for 381. And so now what I have is I have a certificate, and I want to put the intermediate onto that certificate, making a certificate chain. And so I'm going to cat 381 intermediate onto my 381 admin cert. Yes, well, with a double on it. Oh, and a chmod 7. I don't. All right, so now I can clear, and now I can cat the intermediate onto the cert, and I can do the same for 391 onto 391. And then I can do the same thing and make that PKCS12 for, oh my God, this could be a lot of 9s and 8s here. 8, 8, 8, 8. Oh, what happened here? No supported data to decode. 381 admin. Those are the right ones, right? 381 admin, admin, JSON, key. Cert 381 admin, 391 admin. Let's do it. 381 PKCS12, 381 admin key, 381 admin cert, 381 admin. No supported data to decode. This makes me think it couldn't read something.
Is it a permission thing?
I don't think so. Like, they all show readable by everybody. All right, so the definition of insanity is doing the same thing twice and expecting it to work the second time, right? Is there already a 381 PKC? Okay, RCRM. Did I see an empty file named dot? There are dots and dots, but they may or may not be shown in Windows land. Oh, I keep forgetting. Ken is in the chat. All right, so let's try this open clear. Let's make the PKCS12 out. What is going on? Do you see a file being referenced in here? No supported data to decode input structure certificate. Oh, did I ruin the cert? Let's look at the cert 381 admin cert. So what it is I shouldn't use cat because Windows uses UTF-16, and UTF-16 is causing problems with OpenSSL here. So I'm going to do a DOS to Unix on 381.
Is that like white space?
So UTF-16 is all about how you encode the text. Mm-hmm. It uses 16 bits for every single character, regardless. So it's not UTF-8, it's UTF-16. Yeah. And it causes shenanigans. And so I'm going to have to do this in something that'll actually read both. Let's see what happens. And so it ends up looking like this because there's extra space.
White spaces, yeah. So
yeah.
Those new lines.
Don't mind me. Let's see if that works. It's not new lines. I think it's like empty 0 byte,
Mm-hmm.
0 bytes. You dirty, rotten scoundrel. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this, and I'm going to open it in Notepad 381. This is what I did the last time. Copy it from here and just paste it to here like that. Apparently, I can't use cat. Okay. So that works. So if you hit that snag and you're in Windows, which who knows how many people watch this are in Windows, but I'm in Windows, then that'll solve that particular problem. So let's open up this one and then open up 391.cert file and then put this on side of 391.cert file. I'm on another screen right now. And then clear, and then we do the OpenSSL thing, and we'll do 391. 91, 91, and 91. All right. So I've done all those things. Now I should be able to go back to my Explorer and find 381.12 and import that. Taking all the defaults, just click, 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 and 391, and do that. Okay. And so now when I come back over to here, I'm going to have to quit Brave yet again, open Brave back up again. And now 3.8.1, I'm going to pick my 3.8.1 issuer cert and say OK. And for 3.7, I'm going to pick the 3.7 and click OK. And 3.9, pick the 3.9 and click OK. After you have selected the certificate for a particular browser or URL, you don't have to select it again for the duration of the session that the browser is open for. So let's try logging into 371. Logging into 381 worked right from there. Nice. And then, Ryan, why is there no login screen on 3.9.1?
You're good. We tried it for you. We auto-detected.
So if I hit F12 in here, you're saying that at some point in the network requests, this thing did some kind of magic and just like automatically logged me in?
Initialized the page and said, hey, let's make sure we don't already have a cert for this guy. And if we do, let's just go ahead with it. And then in the event there's no cert, which might be common, we'll default you fall back to the username password.
So if I go into a private tab and I go to 391 and I select the OK button, I get a login page. Did you expect that?
I guess it depends on when you selected the cert. Yeah, that's the.
And now let me see if I log in. I'm here. Yeah. Cool. And so now if I make a new page and I go here, select 391, brings me to login.
I'm wondering if this is a new login or a private page, Brave private tab thing.
It could be. It could be. And so I had set the timeout to a minute, and I agree with Ken. The price of the pain of setting it up is so totally worth the price of admission. Because if you recall, I'm pretty sure we've been looking at private windows for a minute. So let's go back and let's look at our 371 and let's click on identities, and we're logged out. Okay, so it's been a minute. And so let's go to 3.8.1 and click on services. Okay, so now you can see the difference, right? 3.7 brought you back to the login page. 3.8 gets this real nice little modal. Nice job, Ryan. I appreciate this. It looks nice. And then you get the session expired. And 3.9.1, we're going to turn on the F12 on this one because Ryan says, we don't know. He says that this will just magically log you in. Let's see. Click. And sure enough, I don't even feel it. I don't even notice the fact that it didn't log in.
You look at
but if I come back over to here, you can see I most definitely received a 401 unauthorized. Ryan did some magic, and now you're logged in without having to click a button, which is super cool stuff, Ryan. Great job. Really. This is the kind of thing that it seems so simple, and it is simple, but
incremental.
But when you're in the middle of, let's go back over to here, let's click the login. And let's go to one identity and let's make a new identity, and we'll say, I don't want to lose this, right? And so you're on a page. Now we have to sit here and talk for a minute. And you are going to submit some data, and you've got a big long thing that you filled out and it's ready to go. And then Ken calls, and all of a sudden it's 15 minutes later, and you're like, oh, let's go back and finish the creating of an identity. And before, what would happen?
It would log you right out. It wouldn't even ask you to save. You just pretty much lose any progress, any status you've had.
Yes, and hopefully everybody out there sent Ryan nastygrams when that happened, because that user experience was just not the best, right? And so at some point I said, hey, Ryan, can you fix this? And Ryan said, oh, I can fix that. And then he added I think you added this, right? And if over here, if you were in flight of updating, it would ask you and then let you save it still.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd have the
So that was also,
say in the event that you couldn't remember your password, or you just didn't want to log in, you just want to save the form, you could still at least close out of the login form and just stay there, even though you might not be authenticated. Or you could obviously return to the login page, or or whatever. But yeah, at least that just gave you the option to say, okay, hold everything where it is. I don't want to do anything. Let me see what it is that I was doing before everything goes dark. So
yeah, cool. And then after that, with the whole new auto login feature, you don't even know it, right? Like I push the save button and it just presto magical does the right thing.
Yeah, so it will, if you are already logged in as a cert-based auth, it says, okay, we already know this is a cert-based session. We made a request, we got a 401, or it could be a series of requests but going in concurrently. We got a 401 though, so like let's stop, let's try to reauth with the cert, and as long as we re-authenticate and everything looks good, then we'll resubmit those requests and continue on as business as usual.
That is super cool, man. That's like I am so pleased by this experience now. I really just being able to do cert-based auth was great, but not even being able to be prompted is even better. In fact, I got one surprise that I wanted to know if it was even possible to not be prompted, because personally, when I go to this screen and I get this, this doesn't spark joy, right? Like, and you can't even really read it in the screen there. It's probably too small, but like if you have a bunch of these certificates to pick from, and if they're, not particularly easily well named, like some UUID or whatever, it's going to be very, very difficult to find the certificate that you actually care about. Now, I specifically named them in this way so that it would be easy for me to find the intermediate, but there's a trick. If you use a Chrome-based browser, and apparently also works for Firefox, but I haven't tested it with Firefox. If you use a Chrome-based browser, you can do some other cool stuff, which I'm going to show you how I did it with Windows. And then it also works in macOS too, but the commands are a little bit different. And Linux people, I'm sorry. So sorry, Ken. I know you're still watching. But I didn't want to select this, right? Like I knew I'm going to always have my particular certificate. And so what you can do, if I come over to here, I can look at the add.reg. So in Windows land, they have the registry, for better or worse. And from that registry, you can actually set some values. And one of the values that you can set is this local HKey local machine software policies, BraveSoftware, Brave AutoSelectCertificateForUrls. This is so cool because if you go to your Brave browser and you go to Brave://policy, you'll see what I have set. You won't have anything set because this won't be there. So let me clear. What did I call it? Clean reset. I called it reset. Let me reset the little key, and then come back over to here, reload my policies. You'll see I don't have any policies. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to update my add policy, which looks like this right now, and uses the my actual machine I use all the time. And I'm going to add a new policy. so that it finds, so what did I call this thing? ZAC 391. Where's the actual URL I used? I have so many windows open now. Here it is. 391.ZAC. All right, so I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to change so that anytime 391.ZAC shows up, I want to find an issuer that matches the issuer I want to use. And if I come over to the private tab, it'll show me 391.ZAC hyphen signing hyphen intermediate. And so let's do this, signing intermediate, and then let's close ZAC or Brave, go back into Brave. And now when I go to 3.9.1, you dirty dog, it didn't work. Did you really not work for me?
Do you have to restart Brave?
I just did.
I did.
Yeah. Let's see. ZAC. Return to login page. Login. No. All right, I'm going to quit it again. So, you know what I didn't do? I didn't run it. Let's run add.reg. Click yes. Click OK. Click OK. Now let's open Brave up. And let's look at the policies, wherever the policies are at, where the policies go. And if I reload these policies, you'll see I now, not that one, show more. I have 391.ZAC in here. And so if I come here, that's 371, that's 381, here's 391. If I notice I don't have the little select a certificate, I don't have it. I should be able to just log in and log straight in. So you don't even get the annoying little prompt, which is so cool. On macOS, if you're interested in doing it in macOS, you can use, and this took a little while to get the syntax right, because this is defaults tool is a bit finicky in my opinion, but if you're using macOS, you can use defaults right. You give it the namespace you want to write into, so Chrome or Brave.Browser, and it's for any Chrome browser. And so you can use this particular. I'll put this in the release of the show notes there, so you can copy and paste it. And then you just pick your URL that you want to match it on, pick the issuer that you want to use, and presto, it'll just automatically select it for you. Absolutely killer convenient. I know you can do it in Linux, Ken. So maybe Ken will tell me how he did it in Linux, because he's probably like, oh my goodness, I can do that. Let me go do that. I could imagine. And then you don't even get prompted. You don't even get that little annoying window anymore. All right. Well, Ryan, have you set this up yet?
What the auto select of the cert?
Yeah.
Well, so I do have a cert for my local ZAC instance. Yes.
You have a cert, but you selected every session.
I selected it. Yeah. So I don't.
Which is really not a tremendous price to pay.
Yeah. It's immediate. Well, you do it essentially one time. Once it's accepted, then you shouldn't have to select it again, unless you choose it to ask me every time. But
right.
you can make it so it's a one-time operation.
Yeah, and then you can make it so it's a no-time operation.
Right. Now this is one step further.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, is there anything along cert-based auth that you added that I didn't cover or didn't ask you about?
I think just to make note. So in the event you don't have cert-based auth, just this persistence of your session not logging you out or not losing your state, all that stuff, that still is a feature you can get with just the standard login. You'll just get prompted with the login screen. And let's say, for example, in the scenario where you were using cert-based auth, but let's say the certificate expired, like it was a year later or whatever, your certificate was no longer valid, or someone deleted your identity or something, something invalidated your cert auth chain, we will fall you back. So it's not, you can only use one or the other. You can use cert-based auth first. And in the event that doesn't work, then we'll fall you back to username and password if you want to do that. And you should still
point.
Yeah.
Very important. All right. Well, I mean, I am pleased as punch. We had some snags, as we always do in Ziti TV. We worked through them all, which is not always what we do. Sometimes we have to give up and admit defeat. But that was pretty cool, man. Appreciate the work that you did on this. Like I said, I know it seems small, but I think it makes a big difference to user experience. So love it.
Yeah. Incremental progress built on top of, like I said, Ken's done some good work on it too to get us going, get us started. And yeah, guys, any other feedback or any complaints, please, by all means, don't
Ping
be shy.
Ryan Discourse. Don't forget at Ryan Galetto.
Let
He's ready and waiting for all your future requests and bugs.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Ryan, for showing up at the stream. It was a good time. I appreciate